Interleague play continues tonight from Baltimore, Maryland. Oriole Park at Camden Yards, the home of the Orioles since 1992 after play at Memorial Stadium. And this is the rubber game of this series. The Orioles won in 10 innings on Monday. Last night, the Rockies knocked off Chris Tillman and the O's 6-3. In one of their most complete performances of the year. Your eyes are not deceiving you. That is not Charlie Blackmon. It's DJ LeMahieu leading off. Charlie's getting his first day off after playing in 42 straight center field in that leadoff spot. Here's the rest of the Southwest batting order tonight for Walt Weiss. David Dahl will slide up. Because of that, he'll bat second. Then it's Nolan, Cargo, Trevor Story. Rayburn will bat sixth as a DH. Descalso in left field. Reynolds at first. And Hundley behind the plate. And the hard-throwing right-hander from Owasso, Oklahoma. Dylan Bundy's first pitch is in there for a strike. Just his third start. He had been working out of the bullpen. For the last 5 years, he has been the #1 prospect in the Orioles chain.
Well, that's because he came up then to the big leagues when he was still just 19 years of age. Fastball, curveball, but he does have a changeup that he's incorporating now because he is in the starting rotation. Coming out of the bullpen, he could just throw the two-pitch mix, but he will throw some changeups tonight.
And he'll throw that very good curveball. He's throwing that more, and he's throwing it to get ahead in counts.
Kind of pitching backwards, and that's the game plan that the Rockies think he's going to utilize tonight.
Sharply hit ball. It's at Scope, who fields it off to the side of his body. Not ordinarily the way you do it, but it worked for Scope.
I think he was a little surprised how hard that ball was hit.
That happens. Well, David Dahl, his third ball game in the big leagues. And so far, he's done nicely. Had a hit in his third at bat in his first career game. And last night, he had a hit in his first at bat. Stayed back on that curveball from Tillman. He's got a little two-game hitting streak going. And he swings through that fastball at 95. And Bundy, interestingly, is actually throwing a tick harder as a starter than a reliever. You wouldn't think that.
And even going back to spring training in April, they were saying he was 90 to 92 miles an hour. But he's dialing it up tonight at 95. First one down low in the Subaru strike zone. Next one just right in the heart of the strike zone. We're going to try to elevate a fastball a lot tonight. I mean, it worked for Gallardo. It worked for a limited number of times last night for Chris Tillman.
Well, it seems to be maybe the thought of Dave Wallace, the pitching coach, because we have seen a bunch of that in this series. This is a powerfully built kid. His big brother is in the Orioles organization as a pitcher. He's a minor leaguer, Bobby. And that pitch is outside. 2-2. Bundy in his last start got his first victory as a starter and worked 5 innings. He threw 87 pitches in those 5 innings. And a changeup strikes out Dahl.
That's a pretty filthy changeup.
Here are the Orioles defensively. They get Trumbo off his feet tonight. He will DH. So Nolan Reimold, there he is in right field. He's pretty versatile. Adam Jones and Kim flank him. Machado and Hardy, along with Scope and Davis. Matt Wieters has caught all 3 ball games after missing 6 in a row. 2 outs, nobody on. Nolan Arenado comes up. Nolan hit his 26th home run 2 nights ago. And that fastball's on the outer edge. And tonight is game number 500 for Nolan. Congratulations. Last night he was 1 for 4. So Scott Rowland, who's now retired, Indiana native, was a tremendous third baseman. They're the only 2 third basemen in big league history to put up those kind of numbers through 500 ball games. Another curveball, and that one's a strike. 280+ average, 90+ homers, 100+ doubles, 300+ ribbies. And Rowland was a tremendous defensive third baseman also.
And he could also make the barehanded play with the best of them.
Nolan hits it in the air to left field, fairly deep. And on the warning track, it's called out there by Hyun-Soo Kim. So a 1-2-3 beginning for Dylan Bundy. Jon Gray, another native of Oklahoma, will make his way to the mound. Rockies have Jon Gray on the mound, and Adam Jones getting ready to go offensively for Baltimore. And here's the Southwest batting order for seven-year manager Buck Showalter, fourth big league team he has managed. He's a three-time manager of the year. Hyun-Soo Kim will bat second. Then it's Manny Machado, Chris Davis, Mark Trumbo in the middle of the order. Jonathan Schoop, Matt Wieters, J.J. Hardy, and Nolan Reimold. The Rockies pitchers have held over 19 innings this vaunted Orioles offense to just 6 runs.
Well, numbers on Jon Gray, 6-4. That puts him fourth in the National League among rookies with wins. Maeda's first at 9-7, but 111 strikeouts. 74 of those have come on the slider. So he throws that about 30% of the time, but not afraid to mix in the curveball and the changeups. That's what's really elevated the game for Jon.
Better than 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. Striking out more than a hitter an inning. And the first pitch of the ball game from Gray's perspective is low, ball 1 on Adam Jones. Adam Jones is probably the quiet leader of this Baltimore team. Teammates have great respect for not only what he does on the field, but his work ethic off the field. He's all about winning.
Well, just like Charlie Blackmon was named as the Heart and Hustle Award winner for the Colorado Rockies right before the ball game today, Adam Jones was the representative. So he made an appearance about 5 minutes before first pitch, receiving that award.
It's a very prestigious award because it's voted on by, it's a curveball that's popped up. It's voted on by former players from your organization. Brooks Robinson, for instance, at the ball game tonight. So when you have the respect of guys who know the game, played the game, are passionate about your team, but aren't necessarily in your clubhouse every day, it speaks volumes.
Because it tells you, you understand what these guys are going through on a daily basis, but then also to give more outside the community, what they encompass in the clubhouse or teammates.
Gray misses downstairs again on Hyun-Soo Kim. Did you see that stat? When Kim plays, the Orioles average a run more per game than when he doesn't play. And he just came off the DL yesterday. He was out with a hamstring injury.
It kind of balances this lineup up because he's more of a slap hitter. I mean, he has an occasional home run, 3 home runs on the season, but he'll spray the ball around.
Rockies shift with him on the pull side in the infield. They shade him the other way in the outfield. And he throws the fastball by him after He set him up with a changeup, so it's 1-2. Two Okies competing against one another. Gray's a year older.
Somewhere I can hear George Frazier talking right now.
I texted Georgie already. He's aware of this one. And this one is on the ground to third. Nolan fires it across. 2 outs. Here's the defensive alignment for the Rockies tonight. With Charlie sitting out, David Dahl's in his natural spot. He's had plenty of experience in the corners as well. He got his first 2 starts in left field, but David's in the middle of Cargo and Descalso tonight. Arenado, Story, LeMahieu, Reynolds in the infield, and Hundley again doing the catching.
And for David at center field here at this ballpark, there's really nothing tricky out there, so he doesn't have to worry about maybe a higher wall or something happening. This is a pretty conventional outfield.
That looked like a strike. It just was a little bit inside of the target that was given by Nick Hundley. So it's 1-0. Good pitch.
Holy cow.
2-0. Home plate umpires DJ Rayburn, Vic Carapazza at first, John Hirschbeck, the crew chiefs at second, and Corey Blazer at third. Machado, the 6th leading hitter in the American League at .312. And this is going to be David Dahl's first opportunity. Good start for John Gray. He matches what Dylan Bundy did. Nothing decided after 1 inning, so we go to the 2nd inning. That's how we do it. Of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Best record since the All-Star break in the National League. The Rockies and Reds are both 8-4. Miami has played 13. They're 8-5. And the Dodgers nipping at the heels of the Giants, who have struggled in the second half. It's great to see the Rockies, in contrast to a year ago when they stumbled out of the gates in late July. They're having a big second half of July. They want to keep it going tonight. Cargo in the 2nd inning against Dylan Bundy, and a wicked curveball's in the dirt. 1-0. Cargo with a huge hit last night. 2-run double. Get the Rockies on the board against Chris Tillman.
And what a big hit it was, because it had come after he'd had a bad call against him, but it didn't let him bother him. And with Tillman, the way he had been pitching at home, to come out and put that first marker on the board. And what was nice is you and Doug and I were riding on the cab on the way back to the hotel after the ball game, and to hear Tillman and everybody else kind of give the credit and tipping the cap to the Rockies and how they hit some good pitches, and also how Chad Bettis pitched. That was fun to hear.
Yeah, listening to the post-game show of the Orioles as Cargo strikes out on a high fastball. He chased a couple. Trevor Story coming up, but Tillman wasn't, so often when a guy loses, he's like, yeah, I didn't have it tonight, or I made a number of mistakes. He said, I didn't pitch that badly. He said, you got to, as you said, tip your cap. They pitched, or they hit the ball well. They swung the bat well. They had a good approach. And he said, the other guy who's talking about Bettis, you just saw, said he was really good. I thought that was a mature assessment of what took place.
So many times it's, oh, well, I didn't have my good stuff, as you said. No, he had some good. He made some mistakes, and when he did, the Rockies made him pay.
One ball, one strike. Story. Texan versus Bundy from Oklahoma. Pretty good rivalry right there across the Red River.
Yeah, Bundy, born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They list him at 6'1", 200 pounds, but that was his signing weight.
It's okay to update things because he hasn't seen 200 pounds in a long time, and he's a powerfully built guy. Curveball. According to Rayburn, just missed. 2-2.
Trevor caught a break. There was a couple pitches last half inning that weren't called a strike down. Hopefully, you can take advantage of it.
Trevor had that two-run single behind Cargo last night to give the Rockies that 4-0 lead.
And that was the mistake I was talking about from Tillman. He left a changeup up about belt high.
Three-two. Well, the kid from Owasso has been impressive so far. He struck out 3 of the first 5 as Ryan Rayburn is coming to the plate. Folks, tonight's guest on Toyota Talk Takeover. Well, no, that was from last night. We did that one last night. Josh Adams did a great job. But you can send us your thoughts, your comments, your statements, as always, by going to hashtag Toyota Talk. Got to include that. And then go to Root Sports _RM. Rayburn at the plate. 1-0 count for Ryan. 2-0. Rockies trying to win a series against a Baltimore team that is 29-3 in series this year. That is the best mark in baseball. They've played 32 series. They've won 20 of them.
It ties Texas with as far as win percentage goes. It's 672. You see Cubs up next, and the Nationals, and then the Giants. We always talk about just win series, and that's what the Rockies have an opportunity to do tonight, is win this series.
If Bundy keeps pitching like this, it's going to be a gut check for the Rockies because he's commanding all 3 pitches right now.
And that's where you hope, though, that something happens and he starts to lose that command for a little bit, because 86 pitches was his high. I'm not sure they're going to pitch him or challenge him that much more past that number tonight. Maybe 90, 95, but this is a kid that's just making his 3rd major league start.
They got to get him to get his fastball down also.
Yes. That was talking to Blake Doyle today around the batting cage. He said fastball up was the one key. They were hoping to be able to lay off that and then just look away.
There's a changeup again in the strike zone. Two and 2 with 2 outs. And that was 97, but nowhere near the strike zone. So Bundy has struck out 4 of the first 6. He strikes out the side in the 2nd. John Gray's turn when we come back.
here in Baltimore on the right. Nolan playing in his 500th game tonight. Earlier, I was able to meet Brooks Robinson, who was here for an alumni event, and we thought we'd show you the two after 499 games. Here is a comparison. You look offensively, it's all in favor of Nolan, and then we go back defensively. Still with the fielding percentage, it's in favor of Nolan, but it was a little bit more even. But guys, you know, that 499th game was on May 28th of 1961 for Brooks Robinson. And Nolan's not going to get Davis on this play. Couldn't make a Brooks Robinson play there. But we'll be talking about Brooks and Nolan tonight. I got a chance to meet him. You'll hear some sound. It'll be kind of a fun night to compare the two.
Well, Chris Davis seeing the shift being put on. He doesn't worry about being too fine with it. He just bunts it down the line where there's nobody. He's just taking what the defense gives him on the Subaru Supermo.
Well, the reason he did that was not only what you described, he was 0 for his last 24.
With a lot of strikeouts.
So here's Trumbo after the lead bunt single, and that pitch is inside. And some of their big guys have scuffled. The Rockies sure would like to take some credit, and they should, because Trumbo's 0 for his last 13. Matt Wieters is 0 for his last 14. Talked about the Rockies pitching coming in. And the 1-0's fouled back. Davis at first, Trumbo ready to go, 1-1. And he swings and misses on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Up in the Subaru strike zone, and that's, if you're going to go inside the Trumbo, that's where you have to go, up. Try to get above the hands. But now you go out and away to him because he's got a very high average, low and away.
Ground ball is short. Can the Rockies turn it? There's one on to first, double play. Well done by Trevor Story to begin it. DJ with a good turn at the bag, 6-4-3.
Just what the doctor ordered, the old double play ball. Trumbo hit this pretty hard, but the range of Trevor, as you're going over the ball, you know it's hit hard. All I have to do is make sure I make a good feed to the second baseman, and then I'll let DJ do the rest of it.
Got it out of his glove quickly as well.
Well, that's the whole key. It's not to rush the play too much, and you've heard me say it before, Drew. It's your job as that first guy is to catch the ball, make a good throw. It's not your job to turn it. It's the other guy's job to turn it. If you don't give him a good throw right where he wants it, then he's not going to be able to do his job.
Second basemen have to be really creative and have good feet, don't they?
You can't be preset in which way you're going to go on a double play. Meaning that I'm not going to pop back every time, or I'm going to go across the bag every time. Sometimes the ball will dictate what you do, the runner will dictate, but it's more importantly what the throw and where it's coming from will dictate what type of turn you'll have.
That's down low, 2-1 on Schoop. He's hit .343 over his last 33 ball games. Off the end of the bat, one hop to Story, and that's all for the Orioles in the second. There was a bunt base hit by Chris Davis. He was erased on the double play. We'll go to the third. No score. Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Utah Street, just outside the ballpark. If you're a left-handed hitter with power, you can launch some baseballs. Daniel Descalso to lead it off, number 7 hitter in the lineup tonight. And he takes ball 1 from Bundy, who has struck out 4 of the first 6. He's mixed a mid-90s fastball with a very good curveball and a fine changeup.
Well, he has a high spin rate on his four-seam fastball. It's 24.20. When you're looking at the major league average, is 22.39. So it tells you that he's got some extra giddy up on that four-seamer.
As the changeup just missed. 2 balls and a strike. Rockies looking for their first base runner. Dylan Bundy's high school career was hysterical in how good it was. He was the 3-time. This ball's on the ground to first. Davis has it 1 out. He was the 3-time Gatorade Player of the Year in Oklahoma. Oklahoma's loaded with baseball talent. He won that award starting his sophomore year.
His senior year, he was 11-0 with a .20 ERA. Oh, and he also played a little third base there, where he hit .467, 11 home runs, and 54 RBIs. So he should be the Player of the Year.
Crazy good. He would work between 94 and 98 in high school. That curveball was just outstanding. 0-1 on Mark Reynolds. One other note on that senior year in high school. The .020 ERA, 11-0. He had 158 strikeouts in 71 innings. Over 2 an inning. He walked 5 the whole year. 5.
I'm sure the guys are just going up to the plate just saying, okay, I'm just going to stand here. Hope he walks me. 5 times it happened.
That's silly. One, 2 on Reynolds, and tries to elevate the fastball again.
Not that it matters in this ballpark, but he's listed as a switch hitter. How'd that go?
I'm sure he was one of those guys that he would have been a Division I guy even if he wasn't a pitcher.
And as you said, putting up those numbers in Oklahoma.
Sure. Wasso's high school has produced a lot of baseball talent. He was a Cardinals shortstop. Been up and down the last few years. Former #1. I'm doing a blank on it. He's from Owasso also. Here's the 2-2. Look out.
I like what DJ Rayburn is doing, just kind of slowing things down. Go out and dust off the plate. I don't care how much we slow it down on the Subaru Supermo. It's coming up towards your neck, head area. Just hope you can get out of the way. Fortunately, Mark was able to.
Pete Cosma.
Pete Cosma, okay.
3-2 on Mark.
This is also where after one of those up and ins, you hope you can hit one right back up the box.
Curveball called strike 3.
Well, when you break off a curveball like that. 2 pitches prior, he came up with a high and tight fastball. Mark, you just got to tip your cap saying, well, you got me on this one.
So here's Hundley against Bundy. On the outside corner for a strike. Third inning, no score. There's been 1 hit. It was a bunt hit by Chris Davis last inning. Nix hits it in the air to right field. Reimold is there, and the Rockies are done in their half of the 3rd inning. Played 2.5, no score. The 3rd inning, the Rockies made a roster move earlier today. Chris Russin's been reinstated from the disabled list. The Rockies long haul guy Jason Mott, this one kind of came out of left field. Jason Mott, who pitched very well in a setup role yesterday, was placed on the 15-day disabled list with a rotator cuff strain. Actually, it was 2 days ago he pitched in the 9th inning, sent the ball game to extra innings. Here's Russin. So the Rockies on the plus side in their bullpen, a little thinner. Matt Wieters at the plate, switch hitting catcher. And he takes strike 1. It's a changeup. Wieters is 0 for his last 14.
Well, he hasn't been the same since he's come back after being hit on the foot.
And that too is a strike. 0-2.
Well, both these guys are just getting after it tonight. Dylan Bundy and John Gray.
Sliders in. 1-2. John's pitching. He's been pitching. You don't see the electric fastball yet tonight. And this ball down the line, and it is a foul ball. 2 strikes. 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 2
So we got the umpire saying foul, Mark Reynolds saying foul, and their first base coach, Wayne Kirby, saying fair.
Got fans down there saying it was fair.
This is what gets me is, you know, the guy that's closest to this is going to make the call. But then they get somebody at second base or third base. How are they going to be able to tell? Unless they do go to replay. Just can't tell from that angle.
Can't tell there. It's over the top of it.
It's just so hard to tell with the lighting, the ball going over the wall.
If you're going to review it, then you review it. That's what they're going to do. But my question is, why would you get all 4 umpires together yet?
Unless you're getting John Hirschbeck, who is the crew chief, who is out at second base, to come in and look at it with Vic.
Sir, I know what you want, but you have a little bit of a bias. I have no idea. It was over the top of the foul pole.
It was so high. And that's what, to me, this is a crew chief review we just heard. But it was so high, how are you going to be able to determine where it was?
They're at the mercy also of the camera angles that we can supply them with, home and road television. This may be the best angle of all. But
even then, you can't tell.
It's foul ball.
But I thought after the ruling, then you couldn't come out.
You can't tell on that angle. So after all that, it's a 1-2 count on Wieters.
But don't throw that slider where you just threw the last one.
He went fastball. This is popped up foul ground. Nolan hoping for a play, and he has one. So Wieters is gone.
Smart call from Nick and John to stay away from the slider. That was the one that he hit down the line. They went to the fastball, tried to challenge him up and away, got him to pop up. That's reading at bats and reading swings.
So J.J. Hardy steps up. Got a .282 average. Veteran shortstop. And that pitch is down low. One and one on the 94-mile-an-hour fastball. The American League leads the National League so far this year, 113-90 in interleague games. Slider is a strike. The last time the National League won the season series was 13 years ago, 2003. And a fastball up high, and that strikes out J.J. Hardy. First strikeout tonight for John Gray. He's averaging more than 10 per 9 innings. Bring up Nolan Reimold.
And John sitting at 7th best all time for rookie starters with that strikeout per 9 you were talking about, 9.73. Of course, the leader was Kerry Wood, 98, 12.58 strikeouts per 9.
Everything's about results, and John's been effective clearly so far. All he's given up is a bunt single. But it's also pretty clear he doesn't have the mid to upper 90s fastball. At least he hasn't displayed it yet. The slider's down a tick or two also.
And I think maybe even earlier this year, definitely last year, that would have bothered him. But I don't think it does now. I mean, for a guy that's 6th in the major leagues with highest average fastball velocity, and that's a minimum of 750 thrown. So it's not, I mean, you're not putting the relievers in there, but for the starters, you have to throw a number of them. Noah Syndergaard, who the Rockies will see on Sunday, 98.1.
He got beat yesterday, 3-2, lost 3-2 to St. Louis. Two outs, Adam Jones on deck. 3-2 on Reimold. Reimold, the hero from Sunday's ball game for Baltimore in their walk-off win against Cleveland, 5-3. He had a pinch hit, 2-run home run in a 3-3 game in the bottom of the 9th. With 2 outs. Another 3-2. This one's popped up right field line. DJ with the angle will make the catch, and it's a 1-2-3 third inning for John Gray. Jenny, thanks very much. Kerr City, he certainly deserves that call up to Albuquerque. Sensational in Hartford. Great to see Hoffman throw the ball well, and Murphy, talk about in fuego.
Well, he just had that stretch where 21-28 or something like that. It's a week or so ago.
DJ takes a strike. It's 1-1. Second time through the lineup. Yeah, he was 21 of 28.
28, okay.
He was 21 of 27, I think, at one point. Another called strike.
And that one was further out of the Subaru strike zone than the second pitch.
David Dahl batting in the 2 spot. And the Rockies are in a good place in their development. Impactful rookies on the big league roster and a bunch more on their way.
Well, the Hartford club was playing the Bowie Bay Sox, who is a AA affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles, earlier today. They've had a 3-game set. They played an 11 a.m. game today in Bowie, which is about an hour here from Baltimore.
And a strikeout, number 6 for Bundy.
Well, the next Fan Friday is August 5th, and the first 10,000 fans receive a Fan Friday Rockies baseball cap courtesy of KOA News Radio.
David Dahl struck out his first time up. Dahl, the 4th Rocky, just the 4th Rocky to play center field this year. Blackman 83 starts, Parra 11, and Barnes 6. Shouldn't say that Parra's starts came primarily when Charlie was on the disabled list earlier.
Dylan Bundy, just 19 years and 313 days old when he made his major league debut.
Through a 1-1 changeup, and it's 1-2.
So why hasn't this guy been in the rotation all year long? Well, Ubaldo was there for a while. They used the kid last night, Tyler Wilson. They're just trying to find somebody to fill in for that 5th spot in the rotation.
2 outs. The Coors Light Cold Hard Facts are brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Tonight's game number 500 for Nolan. Here's where he ranks among all-time third basemen at 500 games. Home runs 96, and the guys in front of him, Eddie Matthews, Hall of Famer, Troy Glaus, Bob Horner, who had such a spectacular beginning to his career, Hall of Famer Mike Schmidt. His teammate now, Mark Reynolds. Well, he's got great stuff, and he's painting right now. 0-2 count. Nolan's hitting 6 straight. 13 out of 15.
It's 61 pitches, 42 have been for strikes.
Last game he went 5 innings through 87 pitches and departed, not fully stretched out. Crowd's starting to react as Bundy is special. He has retired the first 12 he has faced tonight. 7 strikeouts.
Robinson. And he was in the house tonight for an alumni event, and I said to him, what do you like about Nolan Arenado when you watch him play third?
He's just smooth, you know. I mean, he keeps the glove low, and that's what I try to tell anyone, young kids. Just keep the glove low. It's much easier to go down than come up. But anyway, he does it. He keeps that glove low, and it's perfect.
16 straight Gold Gloves, guys, for Brooks Robinson. Blake Doyle today, whose brother Denny played for the Red Sox, told me a story. It was the last, as that's going to hit Adam Jones. It was the last game for Brooks Robinson, and Denny Doyle was here with the Red Sox. He said ball girls paraded out every single one of the 16 Gold Gloves down the third base line, and he said he'll never forget it. They just kept coming out and just shining in the sun.
Well, I just think that anybody that's played this game, if you make a play, you made a play like Brooks Robinson, especially as a third baseman.
Yeah, and I think nobody's going to tell Brooks how to play, but
he got it backwards.
He didn't say what he meant.
No, what he was saying was it's absolutely spot on. Start with your glove low, like he said, but he meant to say it's easier to work up than it is to work down trying to field the baseball.
Yeah. Or ground up. A strike on the two-hole hitter Hyun-Soo Kim after Adam Jones was grazed with that pitch. Just a second base runner against John Gray. The other, Chris Davis, bunt single to the vacated portion of the left side. 16 Gold Gloves, most ever by a position player. There's more scrutiny now. Brooks Robinson was an all-timer. Not what I'm saying is not to diminish his accomplishments, but there's more scrutiny now with the voting and the various metrics that are used, not all of which I agree with, but I don't know if we'll ever see a 16-time Gold Glove position player again. Maddox won 18 as a pitcher. Kitty Cott, Jim Cott, won 16 as a pitcher.
I think the play that everybody remembers from the World Series where Brooks is going into foul territory after he catches the ball and throws it all the way across the diamond.
He was amazing. Jones dives back in. Adam Jones and Carlos Gonzalez have developed a good relationship through the years. Both Nike guys on the offseason Nike trip. That's where they got to be close. This is line to right. Cargo's going to have to field it on a hop. Jones will go first to third.
And this is why when Kim is in the lineup, the record is what it is. Works ahead of John after John tried to come inside with the slider. He didn't fish for that. Then a fastball. Nick was set up away, and it tails back to the inner third of this, and Cargo just cuts it off, gets it back in. Now you got the ever dangerous Machado at the plate, and nobody out. Runners on the corner. This is where you just open, you get that ground ball, maybe a strikeout here, and then a ground ball double play with the next guy.
It'll be interesting to see if the velocity picks up here, and that one did at 95, because he clearly does need a strikeout. May need a couple. He's watching as Dylan Bundy's mowing down Rockies and how good he is. He knows he's got to match it. Inside 1-1 on Machado.
We've probably seen more 93s and 94s tonight from John than we have in a long time.
Yeah, normally you've seen a bunch of 97s already. This is lobbed into shallow right, and Descalso lays out, makes the catch, and Jones had come down the line, wasn't tagging because of the shallowness of the fly ball. That's a great play by Descalso. made extra special by the fact that he hasn't played out there all that much.
And he's using a borrowed glove. I mean, he comes after this ball. I was watching Trevor because I thought he was the only guy that's going to be able to get there, but for Daniel to time this dive perfectly, that's the hardest thing for an infielder as he moves to the outfield. When do I go? Because there comes a point of no return where if I dive and I miss it, guys are going to be at first and third. So I've got to know, I've got to have with confidence that I'm going to be able to do that. Now, Adam Jones came down the line. Some people say, oh, you should have tagged up. But that's one of those rare times where it's okay to be a little bit off the bag in case it does drop down. But Daniel made a wonderful play.
Chris Davis takes a strike. What a great play by Descalso.
Wow, I'm still marveling at that.
Davis in a ditch, 0-2. And Davis does strike out quite a bit.
135 strikeouts in 347 at-bats.
Simple math for him. Well over a third of the time he's striking out. So there are a lot of holes. And you can see Nick wants his fastball up. Didn't get on top of that curveball. It's 2-2. First and third, one out. 2-2. And too high, 3-2. What's interesting is he has not thrown the pitch that he induces the most swings and misses on, and that's his slider. He's not had a good feel for his slider yet.
And then the one time that he did throw it to Wieters, that was the one that was hit over the, it just fouled down the right field line.
And he loses him. He was ahead 0-2. Now you have Trumbo up. What you hope happens clearly is that he finds the slider, at some point here, which I recall a start in the last couple of weeks where the same thing happened. I don't think he was already in the fourth inning when he found it, but I know that in the first couple innings he didn't really have it, and then found the release point on it.
It was in the Atlanta game. First 3 innings didn't really have it, but then locked it in the fourth, fifth, and sixth innings in that game, where he was starting to throw it more.
Trumbo grounded into a 6-4-3, his first at bat. That would work well here. Jones, Kim, and now Davis all aboard, one out. No score. We're in the bottom of the fourth inning. Ground ball, foul. This is a test for John Gray. You look at who's facing Mark Trumbo with 30 home runs. Because not only is he pitching without his slider, he's pitching without his plus fastball tonight.
That pitch, though, tells me he's not afraid still to come in, even though he doesn't have that, because they set in and he hit his location. So if you don't have all the plus with the other pitches, you better be able to spot whatever you do have.
Good pitch. John Gray looked in. I guess it was a bit inside. It's 1-1. The hardest ball he's thrown tonight at 96.
Set up in. Nick locks it with the wrist. It was just a fraction in on the Subaru strike zone.
That was dirty. Curveball, 1-2.
And that is not a pitch he would have thrown in April or May. But he has worked and he's perfected this more and more as the season goes on. And how huge was that to be able to throw that 1-1? Because I guarantee you Trumbo was sitting. I'm looking for that fastball.
Like they're coming in. Broken bat pop up. Infield fly rule. 2 outs. So the deep by Hundley. That was for Kim at second base.
He really waited to go back inside the setup so there could be no relaying of location.
Not out of the woods yet. You have the dangerous Jonathan Schoop at the plate. 293 average, 17 home runs, 58 driven in.
Just be careful on this first pitch. He has the 6th highest swing rate on first pitch in the major leagues. Over 44% of the time he'll swing at the first pitch.
Walt going all 3 games with the former Oriole Nick Hundley. Makes some sense because he knows these guys well. I'm sure Tony Walters will catch tomorrow afternoon in New York. And this is in the air to Dahl in center field, and Gray's going to work out of it. Well done, Jonathan Gray. Man, what a performance. Bases loaded, 1 out, not a problem. We'll go to the 5th. Cargo will lead it off. Dylan Bundy and John Gray. No scores. We go to the top of the 5th. Here's this week's CenturyLink high-speed challenge question. We're looking for the average bat speed for a big league hitter. Is it between 85 and 90, 75 and 80, 60 and 65? Go to @RootSports_RM to cast your vote. Cargo struck out on a high fastball his first time. See what he learned from facing Bundy. Bundy has never seen the Rockies before. Changeup's fouled off. Bundy's only other appearance, it was a start against the National League West team, was against the Dodgers. And he pitched well against LA.
He's already matched his career high in strikeouts with 7.
And that came against the Dodgers. Fargo's riding an 8-game hitting streak. And this is on the ground to Schoop. 1 out. Let's go back to that 2011 draft. First pick was Garrett Cole. That's worked out well for the Pirates. He's 19 games above 500. Trevor Bauer, who at UCLA had all the different ways of long tossing. He's with Cleveland.
Bundy matched up against him in his last start.
And then, and then Dylan Bundy went 4th. Archie Bradley, those 2 guys are both from Oklahoma. Jose Fernandez. Tyler Anderson went 20th out of the University of Oregon. Tyler's already in New York, resting with the early start time tomorrow. He'll open that series against the Mets. Trevor Story fouls it off.
Walt was kind of joking today with us down in the dugout, talking about the game tonight and the quick turnaround tomorrow at 1 o'clock. It's almost like a split doubleheader.
That was a funny line. Asked him if he's going straight from Kennedy to the ballpark. So it depends on when we get in.
He said the schedule makers haven't been very kind to the Rockies this year.
They really have not. And this is in the air to Jones in center. 2 outs. That's 14 in a row to begin the game. Set down by Dylan Bundy.
You can get your tickets now to see your Colorado Rockies take on the Chicago Cubs at Coors Field August 19th through the 21st. Tickets on sale now. Call 303 Rockies or go online to Rockies.com/tickets.
Rayburn. And he takes ball 1. It's a vicious curveball. I mean, the stuff's been outstanding. The Rockies haven't hit a ball hard against him. Nolan hit a ball a little bit toward the end of the bat to fairly deep left field, but that's it.
3 above average, major league average pitches. The fastball, the big curveball, and the changeup.
He's been ahead to every hitter, and that's the strikeout. Number 8, new career high. He's perfect through 5 innings. But John Gray's been special also.
In his 3rd game in center field. I know Rockies fans are new to David Dahl, but you shouldn't be surprised that he's playing in that position, according to Walt Weiss.
I think he's a pure center fielder. You know, he's played all three. He's played a lot of them, the three outfield spots, but I think he's primarily a center fielder. You know, he's going to get some opportunities here and there. You know, it gives me a chance to give Charlie a breather, you know, and I think the time is right for that, especially with the quick turnaround we got tomorrow.
And here's a double to lead off this inning by Matt Wieters. So that's why Dahl is in center field. But that's something the Rockies have had. Their outfielders have been versatile, playing the corner spots and in center.
280 of his 369 minor league games came in center field for David Wall. For Wieters, that snapped an 0 for 15. So John Gray, who had to pitch out of trouble in the fourth, is going to have to do the same thing here in the fifth.
Not much movement on that pitch. Had a little side rotation on it, but didn't have any bite or depth to it.
This would be so un-Baltimore Oriole and American League East-like if Hardy laid down a bunt, but the way Bundy is pitched and the way Gray is pitching, probably not out of the question.
I mean, that's what you're thinking about. It's going to be a 1-0 ball game.
Hardy struck out his first time. Here's the 0-1 off the plate. Hardy's hit 16 of his last 18. All began in Grand Junction. The pro career of so many now with the Rockies last few years. Here's the 1-1, and the curveball's popped up. He caught a break. That was not. Reynolds is calling for it. That was not where he wanted it. 1 out.
Oh, but when you're pitching fastballs inside, slide curveballs away, fastballs away, sometimes even if you make that bad pitch, you're going to get away with it. And Hardy was looking to take that ball to right field when it just enough break on that curveball that he couldn't stay back on it.
Here's Nolan Reimold. He popped to second his first time up. Good curveball.
If that's where you want to put it on the Subaru strike zone on the first pitch, that's prime position.
And giddy up on the fastball with the tardy swing. It's 0-2.
That's just slowing the bat down, speeding it up.
Oh-2 on Reimold. The transformation that John Gray's gone through over the last 8-9 months, nothing short of amazing.
Yeah.
Another 0-2, beat him with a fastball in with movement at 95. Gorgeous pitch. And there's 2 outs.
He's been able to reach back every once in a while tonight when he needs a mile an hour or 2 more on his fastball and gets it. Second strikeout tonight. That was the pitch prior to this strikeout on the Subaru Supermo. Up by the letters, you can pitch up for effectiveness. We've seen it from both pitchers tonight.
Andruw Jones, tough out at the plate. 0 for 1, and he was hit by a pitch. I said Andruw. Adam Jones, forgive me. And a broken bat roller to third. Nolan's got it, and that's all. After a leadoff double by Matt Wieters, John Gray bears down. He gets Hardy, Reimold, and Jones. We'll go to the 6th scoreless. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Drew Goodman, Jeff Hewson, and Mark Stout from Charm City. Rubber game between the Rockies and Orioles. The Rockies have not reached base yet. A perfect game going for Bundy as he goes to the 6th inning. Daniel Descalso takes outside ball 1. Daniel grounded to first. Bundy has struck out 8 of the first 15. The 8 strikeouts, a career high for Bundy, making his 3rd career start. And the 1-0 is a changeup outside, 2-0. That may be his first 2-0 count tonight.
I can't think of many, maybe 1-0 3 times tonight.
And he goes changeup again. This is going to be a tough play. Bundy grabs it. The throw to first is in time.
Well, he popped off that mound. Not an easy play for a pitcher when this ball is squibbed off the end of the bat. A little swinging bunt. But this is where that third base action comes back to him, Drew, because see how quickly he gets this ball and gets rid of it? I mean, that takes you back to your high school days if you're Dylan Bundy. And he was out by a half a stride on the Subaru Supermo. But the 5 innings without allowing a base run, now 5+ innings. It's the longest by an Orioles pitcher since Wei-Yin Chen at 5 1/3 back on September 2014.
And he misses off speed to Mark Reynolds. He did reach a full count with Reynolds and then froze him on a curveball. This is one of those games where it may be the one mistake and one of the big bats and
or it's going to be
hit a home run and that's all.
Or hopefully it gets to the point where they're going to have to take him out because of a pitch count. You think back to his last start, 86 pitches, just his 3rd start here. Been working primarily out of the bullpen where he'd go and then they would give him 3 or 4 days off before they used him again. So now it's more of a long man out in the bullpen.
You would think, though, having gone in the upper 80s last start, that especially as effective as he's been perfect, that Buck Showalter will let him get in that 100 pitch range. And it's been a relatively low pitch count to this point. 2-2 count with 1 out. Last pitch was number 77. And again, a 3-2 count to the former Oriole Mark Reynolds. Told me yesterday he loved his time here in Baltimore.
290 games, he hit 60 home runs, had 155 RBIs for the O's.
They liked having him. Ball 4. So the Rockies have their first base runner. A 1-out walk to Reynolds in the 6th. And that'll bring up Hundley.
And if you go back to yesterday, that's their first base runner in over 9 innings.
Tyler Wilson was perfect for 4. That's a great point. They had 9 innings of perfect baseball against the Rockies. They had retired actually 28, going back 29, 30 straight hitters between Chris Tillman's final 2, the 4 innings from Tyler Wilson, and 5 1/3 from Bundy. 30 straight hitters retired.
I'll see how he does pitching out of the stretch. How many times you go into the 6th inning saying, I haven't even had to work on it yet.
In high school, probably most of his starts. Nick fouls it off. 2 strikes. One and 2. LeMahieu's on deck.
Some oohs and ahs from the fans, but it wasn't a strike on the Subaru strike zone.
The last Rockies hit was Nolan last night. A double in the 5th inning with 1 out, which drove home LeMahieu. This ball crushed deep left field. Take a good look. You won't see it for long. No hitter gone. Shutout gone. Rockies lead it 2-0. It's the former Orioles. The walk first to Reynolds. And then Nick Hundley hits one deep into the night.
On a 1-2 pitch, he hammered this thing. I mean, absolutely destroyed the baseball. He got a changeup. I love the reaction from everybody in that dugout. Nick knows it. Just puts his head down and trots. Nick was working really hard today during batting practice, trying to hit the ball to right center field. They'd make sure that shoulder stays closed, use the opposite gap. And when you do that, when you get a changeup, that's how you're able to pull it so much like he did.
Instead of hooking it into the seats.
Right. Instead of, if you're thinking I'm going to pull it, you hook it into the seats and it's a foul ball, long strike.
LeMahieu takes a strike. It's 0-2. And now Michael Givens, who pitched on Monday and pitched well, is up. Boy, is this thing turned around in a hurry. Talking about a perfect game a couple of moments ago. 3-2 pitch wide of the strike zone to Reynolds. And then he gets ahead of Nick Hundley. And on a 1-2 pitch, Hundley loses one to left, a no-doubter. First home run since June 22nd for Nick. And again, Walt Weiss, give him a lot of credit. Usually 3rd game in, you're going to your number 2 catcher. And it's not a knock on Tony Walters, but I think he deferred to Nick because he played here. He knows this lineup really well.
Knows the ballpark.
Yeah, knows the ballpark. This ball's right back to Bundy. 2 outs. And the natural adrenaline going, playing against a club that you played for less than 2 years ago.
You want to show him. You want to show him, and we're going to go back to that swing on the Subaru Supermo. You see the ball coming in now to Nick. He waits with that left shoulder, and then he'll drive it through there, and it helps when that pitch is belled high.
This ball's well hit to center field. Jones going back, still going back, and the kid has his first bomb. David Dahl, career home run #1. And there's his girlfriend, Jacqueline.
You know what's the best part about this? Not only gives you the extra run, but the Rockies are able to get that baseball.
Yeah, where it landed, that's an easy one to get.
We told you he had sneaky power. That's dead central.
That's dead central. And that's all for Bundy. What a turn of events for him. Standing ovation for Bundy as he goes off. He was perfect for 5 1/3. He cannot finish the 6th inning. 2 long balls for the Rockies. The first for David Dahl. Conley, and a moment ago, David Dahl with his first major league home run. And this was a no-doubter straight away.
And he gets hurt by the changeup again, does Dylan Bundy, because of this swing from David Dahl. Talk about his pop. He's got it to all fields, and Andrew Jones just keeps thinking, oh, I'm going to have a play on this, and he doesn't.
Well, Givens dropped way down through a slider for strike 1 to Arenado. 3 runs in, 2 outs in the 6th inning. Michael Givens pitched well on Monday against Colorado.
An inning and a third, 2 strikeouts. Inefficient, 20 pitches, 14 for strikes.
His issue had been with left-handed hitters, and he's starting to throw that changeup more to lefties.
Right, because when you drop down like Givens does to left-handers, if you don't have anything to combat them being able to lean over the plate, they'll just wear you out.
Two and 2. So Bundy was perfect for 5 1/3. He struck out 8. But he ends up giving up 3 runs on 2 hits, 2 home runs. The Rockies have a 3-0 lead, middle of 6. David Dahl can float out to center field and take his spot defensively. Nick Hundley on a 1-2 changeup. Rockies lead this rubber game 3-0 against Baltimore as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Fans, when the Rockies score 7 runs or more, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. And the first pitch from Jon Gray misses to Hyun-Soo Kim. Kim 1 for 2. He singled in the 4th inning. 3 hits allowed by Gray. And the changeup at the knees. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, John did his job earlier in this game by getting out of some jams. And then the offense did their part in the top half of this inning.
Curveball, and that's a strike. 1 and 2. Well, the evolution of a thrower to a pitcher. Watch Jon Gray go through it, and that's a great pitch. Nolan will get over and make the catch. 1 out.
Well, if you don't evolve to a pitcher, you won't last. Well, first 20,000 fans through the gates on Saturday, August 6th, will receive a DJ LeMahieu Ghostbusters bobblehead, courtesy of King Soopers.
Manny Machado, 1 out, nobody on. Fly ball to center, and a soft fly ball to shallow right that Daniel Descalso made an outstanding play on that saved a run.
And we might look back on that play saying that was really the play of the game, because if he doesn't make that, the run goes in. What happens? And Daniel, many games out in left field, you know you've got the shortstop coming. When do I dive? And he timed it perfectly.
Jones was left at third base, and then Gray after that walked Davis after being ahead 0-2. He got a pop-up from Trumbo and a routine fly ball to center to end the inning from Schoop. But that play was huge. 0-2 on Machado. Curveball backed up on him. 1 and 2. Just really impressed with John. He's pitching without his slider time. When's the last slider you saw?
That's what I was thinking, the same thing. How many is he thrown? 5 maybe? 6?
If that. Well, he went to it there. And it was, again, not real well located.
But just the confidence with the way he stands on the mound now.
He's just a different guy. You know you're reaching new heights when you can pitch without your A stuff. Machado puts a charge in this one, and it's going to get out.
It was a slider.
Number 21 for Machado, and it's 3-1.
88 miles an hour on the slider. Right out of the hand on the Subaru Supermo. Just stayed flat like a BP fastball. Machado did not miss that.
One out, Chris Davis at the plate. And the curveball for a strike. It's really been his best pitch tonight, the curveball.
I think he might just stick with those 2 pitches, curveball and fastball, for the remainder of the game.
There's another one, 0-2.
And why not? He's able to throw that one consistently tonight for a strike, wherever he wants. If he wants it down and in, he'll do that. If he wants it to be away from a left-handed hitter, he'll do that.
Fastball, see ya.
Oh my goodness. You can't miss that pitch.
You know what? That's really frustrating for a battery. You saw the reaction of Nick Huntley. I mean, you got to have this pitch.
Right.
He stuck it. Nick framed it. It's all over the inside corner. He's going to go back to the slider. And he got it. And that, again,
Luckily, it didn't hurt.
that's not where he wanted it. And it's got more east-west movement than depth on
north-south.
it tonight.
Right. In east-west movement, it will stay on the same plane as the bat. And that's what happens when a slider is flat. It just goes east-west, so it just travels out to the barrel of the bat. Luckily, John didn't get hurt by that missed call or become frustrated by that. He was able to strike out Davis on the next pitch.
Here's Trumbo. He's gotten him twice. And that's a changeup first pitch, and it's low. 3-1, the Rockies leading. Came out of his delivery there, 2-0. The slider swung on and missed. It's nice when your arsenal, Huey, is deep enough that you can be missing a pitch or two and still getting through a major league lineup, and this kind of major league lineup.
Well, that's why he has ace material.
Yeah.
That's why he was drafted 3rd overall in 2013.
And the fastball's a towering pop-up, DJ LeMahieu territory. In the inning, Manny Machado hit a slider into the seats and left, but the Rockies have a 3-1 lead as we go to the 7th. Interesting ball game. It was all about Dylan Bundy and John Gray. Bundy was perfect for 5 1/3. He walked Mark Reynolds on a 3-2 pitch, and then on a 1-2 pitch, Nick Huntley hit it out 2-0. And then David Dahl, his first major league home run, a couple hitters later. And the Rockies had a 3-0 lead. Manny Machado got one back on this swing of the bat. So it's 3-1 Rockies, top of the 7th. And Cargo hits one right back at Gibbons, 1 out. One thing to start thinking about, if you look at David Dahl, one thing to start thinking about, the Rockies bullpen, coming into an American League ballpark, utilizing the DH. Last night, the Rockies played one of their finest games of the year, one of the most complete performances. Yet their bullpen got more tacks last night, winning 6-3, than Baltimore's, because they had 4 innings. They run off Tillman. And usually, you know, in the National League, that boy, you're going to go through some arms if your starter gets run off after 5 innings. They go to Tyler Wilson. He doesn't have to hit. He pitched beautifully, retired all 12 he faced. So their bullpen had just one guy used. So there's one guy down tonight. That's Tyler Wilson, their long haul guy. The Rockies are in a different boat because they also lost Jason Mott.
And they went through 4 guys last night. You had Jake McGee, Scott Oberg, Boone Logan, and Carlos Estevez to close it out. So there's your 4 for 1. And as you start to move forward in this game, you're looking at matchups. I think Adams back in play tonight. You know, after pitching an inning and a third 2 nights ago on Monday, threw 20 pitches in that game. But Boone Logan's throwing back-to-back games. So you know, you're not sure how he's feeling.
And sliders popped up. Machado and Gibbons. Pitchers aren't supposed to make plays.
No.
Gibbons running over there to help out Manny.
But the good thing in all of this, Drew, is when it flips to the bottom of the 7th inning, John Gray's only at 82 pitches.
And that's quite a low number considering he had the bases loaded situation earlier in the game. 2 outs. Ryan Rayburn at the plate in the 7th. Gibbons slings it up there at 96 and misses. Before the Reynolds walk, it bears repeating, going back to last night, 30 straight Rockies were retired. 30 straight. That's 10 innings without having anybody touch first base.
Then the veteran.
It's a base hit to center field for Rayburn.
Nice piece of hitting by Mark. But I was going to say, Ryan, the veteran presence of Mark Reynolds in that lineup after getting struck out his first time on that big curveball after being buzzed up by the tower up and in. Works the walk, and then Dylan Bundy has to throw out of the stretch for the first time.
Descalso 0 for 2 at the plate, 2 outs, and Rayburn at first. That's a called strike. Two-strike count. Lefties hitting .370 against Gibbons. Righties .164. How about that for a disparity?
It's all about the arm angle that he throws from.
Rayburn at first, a 2-out single. Rockies up 3-1 in the 7th, trying to take 2 of 3 in Baltimore. And again, the Orioles have been special all year at home. 37-15, the best home mark in baseball. Buck Showalter's club 2.5 games ahead in the American League East, the always competitive AL East.
They've won 20 of 25. The last 25 at home.
Good at bat going for Descalso. Baltimore's home win percentage right now is the 3rd best they've ever had. You have to go back to the late 60s, early 70s when they had those dominant teams with all that pitching. 2-2. And that goes to the backstop, and now Rayburn to second. The Rockies have had 3 base runners, and all 3 base runners have scored. See if that trend continues now that Rayburn's at second.
It was a wild pitch that allowed them to score on Monday night, and another wild pitch tonight. Off the dirt, off the end of the glove on the Subaru Supermo of Matt Wieters. Remember, Dahl had moved up after he'd reached on a base hit to second, and then Reynolds drove him in Monday.
Ball 4. Descalso, after being behind 2 strikes, earns a trip to first. And that'll bring up Reynolds. There's the former Rocky farmhand Chaz Rowe. Last night's game, one of the big differences, the 2-out hits the Rockies got to take the lead against Tillman in the 3rd inning. The 2-out double by Cargo with the bases loaded, followed up by the single to drive in 2 more from Trevor Story. Rockies trying to get a 2-out knock here to get that run back. They lost when Machado went deep. Two former Orioles got the Rockies on the board. Reynolds the walk, Nick Hundley was on deck, the 2-run home run. Givens is clearly, Huey, more comfortable working right on right.
You can just tell that he is. The numbers bear it out. What you were talking about just a second ago. But the sight line for Givens also is better for right-handers.
And he strikes out Mark Reynolds on a high fastball. The Rockies get a hit and a walk, lead 2 on. Stretch time in Baltimore. Colorado 3 and the Orioles 1.
David Dahl has moved to left field. Charlie Blackmon at center. Dahl on the left. Kevin Gausman of Grandview High School went to LSU on the right. Dahl picked 10th in 2012. Gausman picked 4th by the Orioles. I had a long conversation with Kevin down the right field line today. When he was a Grandview Wolf, he went to a lot of Rockies games. But guys, he told me he only went when Ubaldo Jimenez pitched. And he said it was the weirdest thing when Ubaldo signed with the Orioles and he became a teammate of his. He's bummed out he's not pitching this series, but he's very excited to pitch on Friday in Toronto because he's going to face another one of his favorite players growing up, that being Troy Tulowitzki. He told me his guys were Ubaldo, Cargo, Tulo, and Todd Helton, and he said his parents and family are watching back in Colorado.
I bet. And I tell you, Kevin Gausman has a really misleading record. This ball's well hit by Schoop, left center field. Charlie's out there, right center field, I should say. And Blackmon, who just stepped in defensively, makes the catch. So Charlie's in center now. David Dahl moves to left. And Descalso, who made a great defensive play earlier, comes out of the ball game. Adam Ottavino's warming up. There's one out in the 7th. Matt Wieters coming up just to finish or embellish, if we can, Mark's story on Gausman. Gausman has a 3.77 ERA, the 2-7 record. Talking to people within the Orioles organization, they say it easily could be the other way around, 7-2. He just hasn't had run support. This ball's hammered to right field, and it is off the top of the wall, which is a break. Throw to second. Safe.
Well, they'll automatically look at this one. It's the 7th inning. Why not?
Trevor Story looked immediately toward the dugout. If it holds up, it'll be Wieters' second double, but alarm bells may be going off for Steve Foster and Darren Holmes. That's 2 well-struck balls in the 7th inning against Gray.
And then Cargo with that throw in, he picks it up and on the money on the spin. And Trevor picks it up. I think he's out, because I think that foot hits the bag. We'll see it on the Subaru Supermo.
We're going to get blocked here. He's out. He's out. He's clearly out. Yeah, you can see the foot on the other side. How big will this play be?
Huge. 2 outs, nobody on.
He's out.
He is out. Cargo, yeah, he's out. I threw him out.
There you go. 2 outs. That is enormous. Instead of the tying run coming to the plate, and J.J. Hardy, 2 outs, nobody on. Cargo cutting down Wieters.
Assist number 5 for Cargo this year.
Good tag by Story.
Great tag. He stuck his nose in there. Gets that tag right on the knee.
Slider at the knees for a strike. Hardy a strikeout and a pop to first. 2 outs in the 7th.
John gets his last hitter. His last 3 starts will be 7 innings. Seven innings at Atlanta and then 7 innings against Atlanta at Coors Field.
Well, John knows the finish line's near. He's got to regather his thoughts, composure here, focus. 3-1 on Hardy. Rockies with 8 quality starts since the All-Star break, and they have 8 wins against 4 losses. On the Cincinnati, the best record in the second half. They don't run on Cargo. And a walk. And that'll bring up Reimold.
I think you give him this hitter.
One more hitter. You got Adam Jones on deck. Steve Foster may go out and slow him down for a moment.
You have Adam Ottavino warming up.
Second walk allowed.
Yeah, Reimold on a soft fly ball to right field or to second base in the 3rd inning, and then struck him out on a high fastball in the 5th.
1 on Reimold.
Tell the last 6 or 7 pitches that John's throwing, just overthrowing just a tad.
He's had only 2 1-2-3 innings, the first and the third. The second turned into a 1-2-3 inning, but he did give up a hit, a bunt single by Davis. And a soft fly ball to right center, handled out there by Cargo. Great job by Jon Gray on a night where he did not have his A material. He has a 3-1 lead as we go to the 8th. The Rockies 3, the Baltimore Orioles 1. UC Health is tracking the number of walks and the distance the Rockies earn throughout the season. Start tracking your own steps today to get fit. And so far this year, the Rockies have walked 318 times for a total distance of 28,620 feet. As we go to the 8th inning, a new arm is out there just off the DL, Darren O'Day. Jon Gray, 7 fine innings. And the Rockies up by 2. Darren O'Day is the American League version of Sergio Romo. You're going to see plenty of sliders. By today's big league standards, he doesn't break a pane of glass with his fastball.
Fastball, it will average 87, but that's on the high side. We'll also throw the slider at about 79 miles an hour. Really the only difference between he and Sergio Romo, he might be a couple inches taller. That's it.
That's it. But he's been very effective typically.
Well, so has Romo.
Yep, Nick Hundley, a 2-run home run in the 6th inning. 1 for 2. This was on a 1-2 pitch.
Change up. He blasted into the night. And Dylan Bundy had been cruising along, and then right before that he had walked Mark Reynolds. And then the no-hitter and the shutout all gone in one swing.
5th home run this year for Nick. Yeah, it's interesting. O'Day drops down, but he doesn't step to the third base side.
Crossfire like some of those guys do. He'll drop down, but he takes his foot directly towards the plate. Try to stay on line.
Which does help out righties a little bit visually, doesn't it?
Yeah, you don't lose it quite as much as you do that somebody would step more to third and then swing it around the gate. He doesn't do that. Still hard to pick up for a right-hander. It's just a unique arm angle.
Way outside, 2-2. O'Day, surprisingly, his splits are almost identical. 226 against righties, 222 batting average for lefties.
He's not afraid to throw that slider to left-handers.
This is playable near the right field line for Reimold. 1 out.
Sunday, August 7th is the 12th annual Faith Day at Coors Field, featuring a free post-game concert by Crowder. Discounts available for groups of 25 or more.
That'll bring up LeMahieu. DJ's 0 for 3, batting leadoff tonight. Charlie Blackmon got the first 2/3 of the game off, and he was summoned to play defense.
And when you know it, he gets the first ball of that inning.
Yep. Been looking for today to give Charlie off. Strike on LeMahieu. Two strikes on LeMahieu. Yeah, I was looking up plus minus run differential. The Rockies came into the ball game -3, and they're 4 games under 500. The reason I mention that is that this ball sharply hit through the right side. Typical DJ base hit, so with 1 out he's aboard, and that'll bring up David Dahl.
I'm not sure what Adam Eaton did tonight, but DJ was 1 behind Adam for most opposite field hits. DJ had 46, Adam Eaton had 47. So it just tells you that he's either tied for first or still in second place after that base hit, but 47 oppo hits for DJ.
He knows who he is. David Dahl in the 6th inning, his first career home run. Made it 3-0 at the time. Machado's hit a home run since. It's 3-1 Colorado.
Talk about all the 2-out RBIs yesterday. Well, this was a 2-out homer today. Hugs all around in the dugout. And you get the baseball back. Don't have to barter for it.
Way inside. Quick note on David Dahl before we get back to the plus minus, the run differential. David's playing at 175 pounds. He's lost about 10 pounds, and part of it was playing in Hartford because they're never at home. And you remember from your minor league days, you're not eating the same when you're always on the road. The spreads, it's not big league spreads.
Well, and it's you're just trying to survive, and that's what that club has done all year long. At first it was going to be the end of May they're going to get into their place, and then it was maybe by the All-Star break. Now we know they're not going to play a home game all year long, so it's hard to eat. It's hard to get into a routine of good nutrition. I'm sure they're doing the best they can, but you never get a home cooked meal.
Talking to Ellis Burks about it, he said this kid's really strong. Saw it with that home run on the changeup. Not this time. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Arenado. So the run differential, a lot of sabermetric folks, analytic folks will point to that and say if you're anywhere around even, you should be a 500 club. So the Rockies are -3. If you include tonight, they're -1, and they're 4 games under 500. The Pirates are -6 this year. They're 3 games over 500 beginning play today. Move into the American League. where the Tigers are -2 runs, but they were 6 games over 500 beginning play today. The Yankees -21 runs. They were 4 games over 500 beginning play today. The White Sox -21. They're a 500 club. So I mean, if you buy into that, there should be some wins coming for the Rockets.
Right.
Hopefully tonight is one of them. 1-0 on Arenado. And runner going, low throw, and a sneak attack bag from DJ LeMahieu.
For DJ, there's 8 stolen base this year. For O'Day, he just, when he drops down, he can't be as quick to the plate. Goes in easily to second base. Ball skips by, but Adam Jones comes charging in to keep DJ from going to third. They had another guy here a while back, maybe in the mid-90s, Todd Froworth, that threw a lot like Darren O'Day. Same sort of arm action, same sort of drop down, frisbee sliders.
This term's rarely used, but I always look at him as right-handed specialist.
Yeah, why don't we throw that out there more? Right-handed specialist.
There's an assumption with right-handers that they have to get lefties out too. At the knees, Nolan thought it was low. It at the bottom of the zone, 1-2.
And Nolan might be angry with himself. Why didn't I swing at that? Almost drops the hands down to the dirt when he delivers the baseball. It's only about 8 to 10 inches above the ground.
Tough pitch to stay off of. 2-2. John Gray did get handshakes in the dugout. It'll be Adam Ottavino in the 8th inning. Getting mentally ready to go. LeMahieu at second, 2-2 on Nolan. Rockies are in one of those stretches where they seem to be coming up with the big hit. 5 of 6. 2-2. Nolan wants that pitch back.
Yes, he does. You know he was on it when he fouls it straight back. John Gray tonight. Talk about didn't have a slider tonight. He had a good curveball, and he executed pitches when he needed to. 93 pitches tonight in 7 innings for John.
And another pitch fouled off.
You see on the Subaru strike zone, Nolan, you just block off half the plate, the inner half of the plate. Don't even worry about that. Really think about tilting the upper half so you can get to that pitch away from you. Maybe even dive with that left foot towards the plate more. Nolan creeping up on the plate right now.
O'Day with the strikeout. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Adam Ottavino. 3-1 Colorado. performance. Jon Gray goes 7 innings. He allows a run on 5 hits, walked 2, just 3 strikeouts tonight. I always say the true measure of a pitcher is how do you do when you don't have your A material. Jon didn't have the A material tonight, but at Camden Yards against the vaunted Baltimore Orioles lineup, he allows just 1 run and puts his team in position to win a series.
He still gets an A+ is what he gets. He didn't have his A stuff, but he gets an A+ for effort, because that's what he did tonight. He kind of gutted it out. A lot of growth moments for Jon Gray this year. Now Adam Ottavino. It's great when you could turn the ball game over late like this to somebody, and this is what you're hoping when he came back, that eventually he would work into this 8th, 9th inning spot in a ball game.
And he'll get the top of the order. Adam Jones, Hyun-Soo Kim, Manny Machado. And the first fastball misses, ball 1.
Well, 9 games so far for Adam. He's only allowed 4 base runners, 2 hits, 2 walks.
Jones a 2-run home run yesterday. 1-0's in there, 1-1. That's that old line, Huey, about a manager being able to use his bullpen when he wants to, not when he has to.
And that's why it was nice about Jon to finish that 7th inning, so you didn't have to go get him right then and ask Adam to come in and maybe get an inning in the 3rd. He gets a clean inning to start with here in the 8th.
Opposite field, that's going to drop, a base hit. For Jones, a single.
I feel like I just jinxed Adam by talking about the number of base runners he had in 9 innings.
No such thing.
I know. Just feels that way. Just the 3rd hit that Adam's given up. Just up. Just drops it into right.
Yeah, we pointed this out last couple of times he's throwing. He is still working back into form because the numbers have been outstanding. But Adam will tell you he has not been sharp with his command, and that pitch was evidence of it. All 3 pitches really in that sequence were not really where he wanted them. That's a good pitch, and it's not called a strike. I mean, that's a bad miss by DJ Rayburn.
A couple of those tonight. The one on Chris Davis. Eventually, the next pitch, Jon struck him out.
He's looking right over that shoulder, too.
A little flinchy back there.
Double play candidate in Hyun-Soo Kim.
With Boone Logan up in the Rockies bullpen.
Ground ball to second. DJ gets 1. Return throw in time. Double play. What a turn by LeMahieu and Story.
We're going to wait a minute again just to make sure that Trevor was on the bag at second base. How many second basemen would have the guts to make this play where it was? I mean, right now he's got a good play. Oh, he's out. And at first base.
First base, he might be safe.
He might be safe at first.
And the reason Buck's coming out rather than just using his hands to pantomime, I want it looked at, is I think he's going to ask him to look at both.
Both of them.
Clearly at first he's on the bag.
Go back to second base. Foot on the bag. Ball in the glove. That looked like he was on the bag there.
You know, Wayne Kirby was looking at second base. You're right about DJ. We've seen him do that before. We talk about having infielders, especially on the left side, having an internal clock. You were a shortstop where you know the speed of the base runner. You know the timing of getting rid of it. DJ knew how much time he had to still look to second to get that force.
And with a fast runner like Jones. But you would trade.
This is the, I'm sorry again, this is the dumbest rule.
If they're taking the one at second base.
Well, because the intent of the rule after Chase Utley's late slide last year broke Flores' leg was we want to protect the middle infielders. Well, you're not protecting them if you have them hang on the bag long. The neighborhood play needs to stay in vote. Out at second, safe at first.
Okay.
And that's the way it should be.
But I agree with you. As being a former middle infielder, I remember guys coming in there trying to put me into left field. Give me a chance to get out of there.
I'm betting it changes this offseason.
I think it will. Ball and glove, foot still on the bag. And they're always worried about these speed up rules, trying to speed the game up. We just wasted 1 minute and 15 seconds looking at that play at second base.
And I have great respect for the new commissioner, Rob Manfred. I think he's done a very fine job and will do an outstanding job. But one of the things that has been discussed recently from the commissioner is that they would look at limiting the number of changes you could make, relief changes you could make in an inning. That's messing with the fabric of the game. You can't do that.
No.
Two and oh. Can you imagine that? Sorry, you can't bring in the left-hander because you've already made 2 moves this inning.
You've used too many relief pitchers. Can't do it. Come on, Rob.
And 2-1 on Machado, who homered his last at bat. 21 home runs for Machado. One of the top players in the game. Kid from South Florida, grew up in Miami. And a defensive swing, 2-2.
This is where Adam, before he went on the DL with the Tommy John surgery, throw that slider that nobody could hit.
And Machado recently married Yonder Alonso's sister. Two and two on Machado. Got him. Nick wanted to make sure he still had the baseball.
Hang on to it.
Moving fastball at 94, and there's 2 outs.
Come back from a 2-0 deficit and then just come back, climb the ladder on Machado with the strikeout. And we're going to go matchup left on left.
And this is really working out nicely for Walt because Adam was able to get Hyun-Soo Kim and then Machado instead of 1 out and the 1 matchup. You're bringing Boone in to get 1 guy.
And you had it last night and you struck him out.
Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. In Charm City, the Rockies have been charming the Orioles. They're 4 outs away from taking 2 out of 3 here. Something that rarely has happened to the Orioles this year. Top home team in baseball, leaders of the American League East. Boone Logan called upon for the 3rd straight day. He'll be asked to get Chris Davis with Hyun-Soo Kim at first base. 3-1 Colorado.
And Davis was the first guy that Boone faced last night through 2/3 of an inning. Finally finished him off with a high fastball. That's why Davis was guessing. He was walking to the plate saying, he struck me on a fastball, I'm guessing fastball, and when you throw the slider, you stand no chance.
Rockies have 3 on the right side. It's a show me fastball. He had no intent of throwing that in the strike zone.
Or should he? Davis does have 1 home run against Boone, 6 for 13 career.
He's got pretty good numbers against him. But Boone's in a special place right now. Here's the 1-1. And that fastball is located on the inside corner. Chop foul, and it's 1-2. Got him set up for the slider. Got him on a slider. Well done, Boone Logan. 4 pitches. He strikes out Davis again. We'll go to the 9th with the Rockies 3 and the Orioles 1. Cargo's going to lead it off. Boone Logan, Jason Mott having fun in the dugout. Chaz Rowe, who earned the victory in the 10-inning Baltimore win on Monday, will throw the top of the 9th inning. The Rockies have not scored a run in 10 innings against the Baltimore bullpen in this series. It'll be Cargo, Story, and Rayburn. Charlie Blackmon beyond that.
Well, you knew a lot coming into this series about the back end of the bullpen for the Baltimore Orioles. That was never a question. Some of the question marks were their starting pitching.
And the 3rd lowest ERA in baseball in their bullpen.
3.02 ERA.
Cargo a strikeout and 2 groundouts tonight. Pulled the string and it's 1-1.
Chas had been pitching well in Norfolk prior to being called up. He had not surrendered a run in his last 15 appearances. That'll get you called up.
This is bounced up the middle. And play at first is close. Davis went down, made the play, and Cargo had to hurdle him.
I hope he's not hurt because he had to jump over the top of him and avoid Chris Davis's right hand that was on the ground so he didn't spike him.
And he's limping.
That's not a good sign. Oh no.
You gonna take a look at this?
I think they are.
You know what? He's
safe. But then lunging over Chris Davis might have tweaked that groin.
Cargo's run well spring training. And Walt's going to go out along with Doogie to check on him.
This one will be overturned. See how far he had to leap after lunging for the bag?
Well, he had to lunge at the bag, and then, as you said, he had to leap.
Foot on the bag. And in midair, he's calling safe.
Here's what you always worry about. You know this from playing forever. It's not right now. Cargo's going to say I'm fine. It's tomorrow morning. And tomorrow morning, as Walt so aptly said earlier, it's like a day-night doubleheader.
Right. So you almost get off the plane, you get to the hotel, go sleep for a few hours, get up again, and start preparing for the 1 o'clock game in New York tomorrow. Again, I don't understand how the schedule makers can do that.
This really would have been unfair. It's bad enough, but let's just say there was a rain delay tonight. You play a 13-14 inning game, and you end up arriving. It's happened many times, 5 in the morning, and you're going to play, a few hours later. That's unfair.
No, they talk about health and safety of the player. I mean, that wouldn't be it.
About competitive fairness.
Still, by the time you get in, it's a short flight, 45 minutes. But by the time you get in, you drive to the hotel, you get to bed, you're still talking about probably 2 o'clock in the morning.
Tomorrow the Rockies will show up at Citi Field and go play. There won't be batting practice. It's a show and go. Foot on the bag. His toe's still on the bag looking at Davis, because that's something they'd look at also.
Now the question.
And there is no such thing, folks, as tie goes to the runner. There is backyard
we used it in
ball.
Little League.
Yeah, but
no,
there's nothing in the
MLB
rule book that says
book?
tie goes to the runner.
Okay.
Safe. An infield hit for Cargo.
I'll make him feel a little better.
So that'll bring up Trevor Story. Got a bunch of reviews tonight. Trevor Story, a strikeout, a fly ball to center, and a pop to third.
Two minutes and 55 seconds for that review.
Cargo has 120 hits this year, 20 infield hits. And this is popped up middle of the infield. Scope calling for it. 1 out. Ryan Rayburn 1 for 3. The day after every Rockies victory, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. Use the promo code ROXWIN at papajohns.com. We forgot to mention Cargo with the infield hits, now hitting 9 straight. A bit of good news with Jon Gray's performance tonight. He's going to get an extra day of rest before his next start.
With the off day on Monday, where the Dodgers come in on Tuesday, he'll pick up that first game against the Dodgers.
One and one on Rayburn. Rockies trying to tack on another run here in the top of the 9th. Tomorrow's matchup, again, it's a late morning affair for everybody back home. We're on the air at 10:30 with the pregame show. Tyler Anderson's already in New York. Jacob deGrom will have the baseball for the Mets. Should be a heck of a matchup. Mets are still playing as we speak at home. Carlos Estevez getting ready. The Mets leading the Cardinals in the 8th inning 4-3. And soft liners caught. 2 outs.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is now available. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices.
So the first at bat tonight for Charlie Blackmon. He came in the 7th on defense. Rockies 3 runs, 5 hits, no errors, a run on 6 hits, no errors for Baltimore. Ball 1. Charlie's got to add to his plaque collection up on Utah Street. Doesn't get here frequently.
Oh, but it seems like every time he comes here, he does something special.
Yep. Chris Davis, the first, has the most. He has 8 off the plate.
When you hit as many home runs as Chris Davis had, in the power with which he does it, you should have a few out there.
Yes. Wouldn't argue with that.
Hey, one final note on Jon Gray. In his last 4 ball games, a 1.32 ERA.
3-0 on Blackmon with Reynolds on deck. A 3-0 pitch. The shortstop, J.J. Hardy, flipped over to the right side, and now on 3-1, he's going to stay there. They were playing it straight up. It's out of play.
I'll be watching this because Cargo will take off running on this pitch. And I want to see how he's running. If it's the right knee from jamming it in after he had to spin over the top of Chris Davis, or if it was a groin, if there's any limp in the running gait.
He looks pretty good running. No swing, ball 4. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. really kind of lost sight of what was happening with Charlie at the plate because I was wanting to see how he took off running. He looked good going down to second base.
And I was basing it on the jump in the first few strides. Did he go gingerly or did he go pretty hard? You can tell, you know, he had shut it down quickly because he saw the pitch was in the dirt.
But even as he's going into second base, that's the time when you're trying to slow down. If there's pain, that it'll start to hurt and you'll get the limp.
Sometimes you scare yourself when you go into a bag awkwardly or take an awkward stride and you think, man, did I do something?
Sometimes you'll get that brief pain too, where it might hurt just for a second, and then when you land there, you say, oh, is it still going to hurt? For somebody that's had knee surgery, that had all the problems with the patella tendon around the knee, and I'm sure there's always in the back of your mind.
2 on, 2 outs. Mark Reynolds with a 1-0 count. Mark's 0 for 2. Walked in the 6th. That broke up the perfect game by Dylan Bundy. And then the 2-run home run by Nick Hundley behind it. Slider for a strike. 1-1.
Not only is Mark 0 for 2, but the Rockies are 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position.
If you just gotten in front of the television, Dylan Bundy was perfect for 5 1/3. If you include last night, 30 straight hitters retired by Baltimore. This will end the inning. So that walk to Reynolds and then the 2-run home run. The Rockies have a 3-1 lead. They're looking for 3 more outs. They'll call upon Carlos Estevez when we come back. Three to 1 as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning in Baltimore. And Carlos Estevez will be asked to get another save. Who Wants Tacos? Fans follow @RootsSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies Taco Special when the Rockies score 7 or more in a game. David Dahl, a home run tonight. First major league home run. And Carlos Estevez, who picked off the save last night, will face Mark Trumbo, Jonathan Schoop, and Matt Wieters, 5, 6, and 7. 3 guys with plenty of pop. 30 home runs, 17 home runs. For Wieters, who's been in and out of the lineup this year, he has 9 home runs.
Carlos looking for his 10th save of the season. There's been 13 games since the All-Star break. Carlos has pitched in 7 of them. He's 5 for 5 in save opportunities.
And the first pitch, towering fly ball to deep left field, playable out there for Dahl, 1 out.
For a moment, you're holding your breath. Big swing by Mark Trumbo. Caught it off the end, and 1 out after one pitch.
Estevez had a 1-2-3 ninth inning yesterday to preserve the Rockies' 6-3 victory. That was, as you mentioned, his 9th save of the year. Here's Schoop, 0 for 3, and the slider spins up there inside. 0-1, or it's 1-0. And this is a jam shot pop up. DJ's got it, 2 outs. Too quickly gone. That'll bring up Matt Wieters.
Like there's some extra movement on the baseball tonight for Carlos. First one to Trumbo, hits off the end of the bat, and that one from Schoop was a jam shot.
Wieters is 2 for 3. A double, and what he thought was another double. He hit it high off the scoreboard in right, and Cargo threw a perfect strike to Trevor Story to get him out. Initially, he was called safe in the 7th inning with 1 out, and then when they went to New York, they reversed the call. Fastball at the knees, well received by Nick Hundley. Stole that strike, and it's 0-1 at 97.
Not only was that the 5th outfield assist for Cargo this year, his 60th in a Rockies uniform.
0-2. Big, broad-shouldered, 23-year-old Carlos Estevez out of Santo Domingo. Oh, 2.
Maybe they dialed the gun back tonight. It was the last pitch was 96. I've heard of teams doing that.
Got him. Ball game over on a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and the Rockies become just the 2nd team this year to win a series at Camden Yards. The only other team to do it, Seattle, back in May, as the Rockies take 2 of 3 from the Baltimore Orioles, the team with the best home record in baseball, and the team leading the competitive American League East. John Gray gets the victory, 7 strong. And that man, David Dahl, all smiles again. He got his first major league home run tonight, or Jimmy John's delivery of the game. Well, with the Rockies ahead 2-0, Nick Hundley had just gone deep. David Dahl took a changeup from Dylan Bundy and launched it over Adam Jones's head and the center field wall here at Camden Yards. And his girlfriend approves. Mom and Dad here as well. David Dahl's first big league home run.